watching these hearings very, very closely. And Congressman, right now we're told that if things were to be voted on now, it would be a close vote, but it would be a yay vote for getting involved in Syria. You say that would be a mistake. Why?
Oh, obviously, because we don't have any business there. It's just going to cause more trouble. But you also cited, the polling is pretty good. The American people don't want to go into this war. And the people in Britain didn't want to go in, and they had a positive vote for peace. So I would say, Neil, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I've been on some lonely battles before, whether it be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, arguing the case for minding our own business. But I think there's a sea change. There's a shift. The American people are waking up. They're tired of it. They don't have the money. The world, they keep talking, well, the world has to stand up to this guy. Who's the world? It's not the British, it's not the UN, it's not NATO, it's not the Arab people, it's not the Russians, it's not the Chinese, but the world has to stand up to him. That means Obama, he has to save face because he drew a red line.
Well, do you think that if he did not make that red line statement, Congressman, we'd even be here today, we'd even be debating this today?
That's quite possibly, because politicians are pretty naive. They think if they don't follow through, they're very insecure people. And I think lack of security in making a decision is the biggest problem with politicians. And right now, those who are in the middle don't have the sense of security and understanding of why they're on the right side, because they believe that you have to listen to the propaganda, then they weigh it. Oh, what if something happens and I'll be blamed for it? And they're very insecure people. And I think Obama was very insecure. He made that statement, signing like a tough guy, and then the Republicans played into his role and made it a partisan thing. Said, okay, you drew a line. The McCainites and the Lindsey Grahams, they love this stuff. And they've been screaming for war for 2 years.
Well, apparently what got them thinking along the president's lines, Congressman, was this idea that it would not be just a sort of an in and out non-regime change move, that this would do something to incapacitate the regime. I'm paraphrasing there, but that is a little further than the president first wanted to go, right? So what does this tell you? Does it worry you?
Well, it means that it's just talk, because it doesn't mean much, because once we get into it, all kinds of things can happen. There's always unintended consequences. There's always going to be blowback. There's always going to be costs. There will always be deaths. So if we're trying to save face because we have to stand firm, you have to say, well, if we're not going out all war and sending 600,000 troops in there, how many people do we have to kill? Oh, no, we don't want to kill anybody. We just want to blow up the airfield. But people are going to die.
So you don't think this will be like a Bill Clinton Bosnia strike deal where, that never got any congressional approval. The difference was, of course, it did have some NATO cover to it, but here we would be going alone, with or without congressional approval, right?
Well, that makes it worse, but that doesn't justify what Clinton did either, and we'll read about that for a long time. But a lot of people died then, too, and were they all guilty of war crimes, the people who died? Why do we have to always solve these arguments within a country, civil strife, civil wars, with our military? That's the only thing we have to offer, is our military and our goodness, our greatness, that we know what's best for everybody, and we can speak for the whole world. It's getting old. The people don't like it. We can't afford it. It's going to cost billions of dollars.
Well, what do you think changed, Congressman? I mean, last week at this time, the president seemed pretty strong about going on his own. And then maybe it was the British vote in Parliament, I don't know what, but then he kind of pulled back and dumped this in Congress's lap, which maybe constitutionally, obviously, is the thing to do, but something must have happened. Something changed. Well, what was it?
Well, I think the vote was a big thing. I think the polls in this country showed it. I think he has difficulty making decisions, and he backed down, and he really threw it back at the Republicans. The Republicans were, yes, we have to have a say. We have to say on this. Right. And, and they're going to get their say. And unfortunately, I think there'll be some type of authority given. And it won't matter. He doesn't say he needs it. And if they give a little bit or a lot, they will abuse it. Just think of what's been going on for 12 years under the global war of terrorism. We've killed thousands with our drones. And here we are joining up with a group of thugs who kill Christians. 1,000 Christians have killed over there with the rebels, and that's who